Hi friends, welcome to Unbound Learners Pre-K. Today I have a visitor that I'd like you to meet. My sister Mimi is a farmer. Now some farmers grow fruits and vegetables, and other farmers raise animals, but Mimi grows flowers for bouquet arrangements and crowns. In the wintertime when there are no flowers, Mimi uses plant material that she collects outside to use in her bouquets and nature crowns. This is called foraging. Today we're going to go on a walk with Mimi and collect plant material. Then we'll show you how to make your own nature crown. Now this is an activity that has multiple steps and will require help from a grown-up. We all live in different parts of the world, so what you find outside for your nature crown might look very different from what we find. I'll be looking on my homestead, but you could visit a park, go on a hike, or even just walk down your street. Are you ready to forage? Let's go! Hi Mimi, I'm so excited that you're here and I can't wait to see what we're going to find on our walk for nature crowns.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
All right, before we get started foraging, is there anything that we should know?
Yeah, so when we're foraging, we're outside collecting things from nature, and what we find depends on what season it is. So right now it's winter, and we're looking for seed pods, we're looking for pine cones, and evergreens. The one thing you want to make sure is that your grown-up is aware of what plants to avoid. So for me, that means I'm staying away from poison ivy.
Well, that's a really good point and a great way to stay safe. All right, I'm ready to go. Are you?
Yeah, I can't wait.
Let's go. Mimi, what's that tool that you're holding in your hand?
These are shears. They are a bit sharp, so you want to make sure that your grown-up does all of the cutting. You can use a pair of kid-friendly scissors, though, if you want to help. So here we found some anise hyssop. It's a seed pod, and I think it's going to make a great addition to the nature crowns. I really like the structural form. They look like little cones. I like the color, and I think it will just be really fun to play with them.
All right, let's go try to find some more things.
So here we have some goldenrod. It usually blooms end of August and through September, and it's a nice yellow color. Right now during the winter months, it's gone to seed. So we're gonna take a few cuttings of this. I really like it because it has a nice cloud-like texture. This looks familiar. This is a larch tree. Larch trees also grow on Block Island, which is where I live. Larch trees are called coniferous trees, and they are one of the few coniferous trees that drop their needle in the wintertime. I really like their little pine cones they have on their branches, so I'm going to take a few cuttings off of this branch. Here's another coniferous tree, except this one still has its needles in the wintertime. I think it's going to be really great for some color in our nature crowns. Here's some Queen Anne's lace. You can find this all over the Northeast. We're going to take a few cuttings for our nature crowns.
So now that we've finished foraging, we're back inside and we have all of our materials spread out in front of us, and Mimi's just going to quickly go over what we're about to work with.
Yeah, so I'll start over here. Here we have our fur. It will be a nice green element to our crowns. Here we have the goldenrod that we clipped. We have our Queen Anne's lace. We have our larch branches. We found a little sumac along the way, as well as dock. And this is from a pine tree here. Now, in terms of these materials, we had these in our house. So you'll need any twine, yarn, or string, a pair of scissors for your grown-up and for your some kid-friendly scissors, wire cutters, and again, here's a pair of the shears that we had. And for our frame, we'll need some wire. If you don't have wire at home, you could use a headband at your house, or you could even use a wire hanger and have your grown-up make the cut to use the wire.
So I see that a lot of these materials are very small and sharp, so this is definitely not an activity recommended for under the age of 3.
So now that we have all of our materials broken down, I'll explain to you how to break down each plant element. So when we are outside, most of our plants that we collected looked like this. They were larger branches, and what we want to do is make them smaller for our crowns. So you're going to take your pair of shears or scissors and just cut little stems like this. And this is the perfect size for our crowns, and create a little pile. And for everything that we're not using, like the rest of this branch, I'll probably just place it in this basket here where we'll put our scraps. We want to make sure the crowns fit comfortably on your head. And in order to do so, we're going to have to take a measurement. Today we'll be needing a pair of scissors and your string. We're only making half crowns today, so we're going to be measuring from ear to ear going across your forehead. I'll show you. So here we have a long piece of string. Take the end of the string, I'll use Nina, and place the end of the string at one ear, wrap the string around the forehead, and use your other fingers to mark where your other ear lands on the string, like this. So this here is the measurement of the half crown, and I'm going to place a cut like this, because we don't need the extra string. So this is the measurement of your half crown, and you'll be matching this to your wire.
So now that we have used our yarn to measure the length of our forehead, what's the next step?
Yeah, so the next step is matching your piece of wire with the string and making the cut. So we want to make sure that the string is the same size as your piece of wire. The piece of wire is going to be your frame for your crown. So make the cut using some wire cutters like this.
So I take my yarn and I'm just going to match it up to my wire and cut it so that it's the same length, because we're not using the yarn anymore. Is that correct? We're just using the wire as the frame?
Exactly, yeah. We want the wire to be the base of our crowns, not the string.
I see. So let's make that cut. And then do we need to save the yarn, or should we just get rid of it?
You could keep it if you would like for another project, but it won't be necessary for the rest of our nature crown making. Next, we're going to make little loops on the end of each part of the wire, like this. You want to bend the wire to create a little circle shape on each end.
Well, they kind of remind me of little fish on the end.
They do look like fish. That's a good idea.
Why is it important to make little loops on each end of the wire?
Well, we're going to be attaching some string onto each end so that we can tie the crown around your head.
I see. All right, so I made one loop, and I just need to make one more. So 2 loops.
Perfect. And then just so it creates the shape of your head, maybe add a slight bend in the middle so it can wrap around your forehead and be comfortable.
I see. So I noticed this is not a full crown, because a crown would probably go all the way around your head, but this looks more like a half crown. Am I correct?
Exactly. So just the front of your forehead will have the crown, and then we'll tie it around the back of your head with the string.
I see.
Next, we'll be attaching 2 pieces of string to each end of your frame. So, you don't need much string. I would say maybe 7 or 8 inches each. And you're going to make a tie. So put the string through the loop and just tie it, maybe double knot it. So a simple knot would work just fine.
So I'm looping the string or the yarn through one end of the crown loop and just knotting it.
Yep.
And I see how you just left the other end free.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now the other side. Here's a piece for you.
Oh, thank you. So I just do the same thing on the other side?
Same thing on the other side.
Okay. A little knot on the other side of the crown. So then they just hang like this for now?
Exactly, like 2 tails.
Okay.
And if you have extra string, just snip it like that.
I
But
see.
yours are good. I just added a little extra material.
Okay.
So this is how your frames should look like at this point.
So you have the wire semicircle and then 2 pieces of yarn or string on either loop.
Exactly. So just for a visual, here's our half crown frame. We haven't added the plant material yet onto the crown, but I just want to show you how to place the crown onto your head when the crown's ready. So you just put the wire across your forehead and then take the 2 strings and reach them in back of your head and have your grown-up help you make a knot with the 2 strings together. So now that our frame is made, we need a way to attach our plant material to the frame to create our crowns. So in order to attach the plants, we're going to be using our string. So what I did was I cut several pieces of string at about 1 foot's length. And I probably have 10 pieces or so. You can always cut more.
So 10 pieces of yarn or string, about 1 foot long, and this is how we're going to attach the plant material to the frame of our crown.
Exactly. So now we want to attach our plant material to our frame by wrapping the string along the stems. So let me explain that to you. So we're going to pick one side of the wire to start on. I'm going to choose this side right here.
So closest to the loop.
Yeah, and we're going to be building the crown on the wire, not the string. Next, I'm going to create a little cluster and combining some of our plant material. So I think it would be fun to get a little pine. Maybe this sumac. I love that burgundy color. And you can go ahead and start creating your own little combination.
So it's like a little bouquet almost.
Exactly.
I think I'll use some of the goldenrod. Oh, this one is already a good length. Should I trim it a little bit more?
Yeah, I would create your stems to be about 1 inch or 2 long.
Got it. Let's see. Oh, this one is also a good length.
That looks great.
Okay, so I have 2 materials that we foraged. Is that a good amount to start with?
That's perfect.
Okay.
So now we're going to want to line up our stems to the end of the wire, right where the loop is. So you want to hug them tightly and press them close to the wire.
Okay.
And then you're going to grab a piece of string.
So this is the string that we just cut before.
Exactly.
Okay.
The pieces of string that were about a foot's length. And what you're going to want to do is just wrap the stems along the wire as tightly as you can, maybe 3 times. And you're going to have 2 tails here. And you're just going to want to create a simple knot.
I see. So you're just holding the material right against the wire, and then you're using your yarn or your string to wrap it, you said about 3 times?
Right.
1. Ooh.
Things get stuck.
There we go. So 1, 2, 3. And then you said there are 2 little tails?
2 little tails.
Okay.
And if it's easier to tie, because it's a little tricky to tie with one hand, just set down the frame,
Okay.
and make the tie with the string.
So just another little knot again.
Exactly.
I see.
And probably double knot it just to make sure it's secure.
All right. So there we go. The
Awesome.
first material is attached to the crown.
Great. So we want to make sure that everything stays really secure along the frame. So what I like to do is I like to wrap the rest of the frame after that first knot. Just wrap, and work your way down the frame in the same direction and make sure everything's included in the same wrap. So right now I have 2 stems and the wire under 1 wrap of the string.
I see.
So I'm wrapping, and then when there's a couple inches left, you want to make another knot.
Okay.
And that will probably be the end of your first string.
So I noticed when you get to the end of the stem, that's a good time to make the second knot.
Exactly.
I see.
So there's 1 knot at the top of the stem, 1 knot at the bottom of the stem. You can even make several knots in the middle of the stem to make sure it's extra secure.
All right. Yeah, that definitely does not look like it's going anywhere.
So next, we're going to add our next cluster of plant material. So I think I'm going to set this down. I'm going to start with some of the goldenrod. I'll probably use 2 pieces. And I think I'm going to use a Queen Anne's lace. So I'm using all 3. And I'm going to make a snip so that the stems are about 1 inch or 2. And keep them together. So why don't you pick your combination of plant material?
So I think I'm going to get this larch branch. It looks like it's a little bit too long.
That's perfect.
Okay, so just this one little branch. There's a couple of pine cones on. And I don't want it to be too busy, so maybe just another piece of goldenrod, but this one is pretty puffy.
I love the shape of that.
Oh, I do too. Yeah, that will look nice together. And let's see, maybe that stem, the goldenrod, needs to be trimmed down so that it's the same length.
Perfect. So then we have our cluster and we're going to layer it right on top of the wire and the stem.
The stem that already exists.
Exactly. The stem that's already secured on the wire.
Okay.
We're going to place our new cluster right on top.
Okay. And are we using a new piece of string?
A new piece of string.
Okay.
If you need it, depending on...
I actually am not sure if I need it. I have quite a lot left. Do you think it's necessary?
I don't think it's necessary. So just use that continuing string to wrap, 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 knot.
So there's no initial knot this time. It's just wrap, 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 knot.
I would actually, that's a good question. I actually would make one knot.
At the beginning, I see, okay.
Again, we want to make sure that these aren't going anywhere.
All right, so there's my first knot, and then wrap, wrap, wrap. So you're doing the same thing. You're just adding an additional cluster.
Right. And we're working our way down the wire. So along the stem, down the wire. We're all going in the same direction.
Got it. Add a little knot now.
Perfect. So this is how it looks so far. Now, I always start with a bit heavier material use on one of the ends of the wire. So this is going to be where your ear is. It will be placed above your ear.
I see.
And as we work our way towards the middle, that's going to be around your forehead. So we can get a little thinner as we go. So next, I'll probably add another cluster. I really like making my crowns fun and full and festive. So all crowns are going to look a little different. Some will look more minimalist and simple, and some can be really crazy and fun. It really depends on what kind of mood you're in. So I think I'm going to take a piece of this fur, and to me, when I cluster, it seems like this should be on top because this is a bit flatter. So I'm just going to place that right on top, make my cut so that the stems are about 2 inches in length.
Mm-hmm.
You can do the same.
I think I'm going to start with the Queen Anne's lace this time, and also a little piece of fur. So about 2 inches. Okay.
Perfect. And then we're going to do the same thing. So we're going to layer our new cluster right on top of the old. But we want to make sure that we're not blocking or covering anything else up that we've already installed on the frame. So, you know, it wouldn't really make sense to place our next cluster down below here or way up here. We want to make sure it's right below our last cluster of material. And then I have a tail of string left over.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna use that to wrap, 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 and knot.
I see. So I've noticed that as we keep adding more clusters, there's less frame that's seen.
That's a really good point. Yeah. We're covering, by the end, our goal is to cover the entire wire with plant material.
I see. So I'm just wrap, 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 and knot. And I added a new piece of yarn this time because I did not have a long enough tail.
And feel free, again, to add as many knots as you want so that it stays extra secure. I just added an extra one to be safe. And then we're just going to continue with that same patterning. So clustering, laying on top of the wire, wrapping and knotting until we get to the end of the wire. So let's just continue playing around with the plant material and getting as creative as you want.
Sounds good.
So every now and then, I like to make sure that my string is organized. So we want to make sure that the string on each end remains loose and separate from the string that we're using to wrap. So sometimes it gets a little tricky to keep the string separated, but just you do the best you can. And if it gets confusing, we can always add in at the end.
Right. So just holding it up. So I have, let's clear this out. I have one string here, which is my loop, my other loop string right here, and then this is the one that I'm attaching to material.
For wrapping. Perfect. So now that we're almost done completing our crown and you have about 1 inch left of your wire, we're going to seal the crown with one last cluster of plant material. So again, it's going to be exactly what we've been doing this whole time. You're going to take the crown, take your cluster, and the last final inch of wire, you should be able to see your loop. You just layer your stems on. Take whatever string you have available or start with a new piece of string if you need it. And you want to make sure you wrap really well.
So I have my final cluster right here, which I'm just going to add on to the final inch of my frame.
Exactly. And I would maybe not 2 or 3 times, because again, this is the last piece, so we wouldn't want all of our string to unravel. So since everything is kind of connected and layered, we want to make sure we seal the crown in a really strong knot. So I'm wrapping for the second time and knotting for the second time. And you could even double knot that just to... How did that work out for you?
Great. I have the final cluster at the end right here, and there is no wire or frame that's exposed.
Perfect.
anymore.
That looks great.
So should I trim off any excess stem
Exactly.
so that it's just the loop?
Yep.
I see. And definitely make sure that this string that's attached to the loop is out of the way.
Might be helpful for your grown-up to hold the string. I'm going to do the same thing. I have about 1 inch of stems. I'm going to make a clean cut. This is my loop string, my second loop string. This is just extra wrapping string. So I can take my scissors and just trim that so it looks neat. And here's our crown.
Wow, these look so nice. I can't wait to try them on and make sure that they fit.
Yeah, there's lots of fun textures and colors, and it's just a really wild, fun, creative activity.
So when we put them on, I'm assuming that these two pieces of string will just tie onto the back of your head to secure it in place.
Exactly.
And then this will go in front of your forehead.
Exactly.
All right, let's try them on. Mimi, thank you so much for showing us how to forage for these nature crowns. They look so amazing, and I had no idea that it was even possible to make them in the wintertime.
My pleasure. I had so much fun.
I wonder what you'll find when you forage. I'd love to see pictures of your nature crowns, so please have your grown-ups share them with me. Now remember, friends, this activity does require a bit of guidance from a grown-up and is only recommended for those ages 3 and up.
Be creative, stay safe, and have fun.
Thanks for joining us today. Make sure to check out more of Mimi's work that I've linked below. Bye, friends. See you back at circle time.